Hello and welcome. We are live from the Legion M Lounge at Sundance 2018. Legion M is the first fan-owned entertainment company, and the lounge this year is sponsored by Cinemark Movie Club and Evolution Fresh. My name is Russ Fisher, and across from me I have my co-host, film critic and historian Leonard Maltin. And then we have the executive producer. Oh, that's Chris Gore in the back applauding. Let's just join Chris. We'll go. Come on.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. And we have, from the film An Evening with Beverly Luff Lin, the executive producer, Greg Shockro.
And you're also the executive producer of approximately 10,000 other films over the past 5 years. You have been so busy. We're looking at your credits in disbelief.
It's surprising, isn't it?
Yes, it is surprising. Rattle off some other titles for the crowd here.
I have a Ben Kingsley film that's coming out in April that sold to A24 called Backstabbing for Beginners. Other films that I've had Sundance in 2010 was the first year of the next category, which An Evening for Beverly Luff Lin, and that won Best of Next, the first ever. In 2013, I had a film at Sundance called The Lifeguard, starring Kristen Bell. And 2015, a Sundance at Midnight film called Anti-Birth.
I would say you're doing just fine.
Thank you.
And your new film debuts in about an hour.
That's correct. That's correct.
So the new film is directed by Jim Hosking, who was at Sundance in 2016 with a movie called The Greasy Strangler. And if you have seen The Greasy Strangler, you remember seeing The Greasy Strangler. I loved it.
Yeah.
Some people don't love it.
Yep.
It's confrontational, we'll put it that way.
Absolutely.
So what did you learn from seeing the reception to that movie as you prepare to bring his new film into the world?
I learned that I really love this director, and he's fresh and unique, and you haven't seen anything like that. And it's stupid and funny and crazy and right up my alley.
Tell us about the cast in this one.
So An Evening in Beverly Luff Lin, the great thing, so reading the screenplay of it too, if you saw The Greasy Strangler, they didn't really have any big stars, but you still had this really unique voice and unique vision. So the cast of An Evening in Beverly Luff Lin is Craig Robinson, plays a 58-year-old woman that comes to a small town and puts on a magic show. Hence, An Evening with Beverly Luff Lin.
I'm already in. You can stop right there.
Craig Robinson is Beverly Luff Lin. Aubrey Plaza plays a woman living in town in an unhappy marriage that has some sort of past with Beverly Luff Lin. And Jermaine Clement, who's really one of the funnier people in the world. You know, a number of the small town folk have a crush on Aubrey Plaza. And that's pretty much what the movie's about.
Right. And her husband, or
It's
ex,
Emil Hirsch is her husband, and they're in an unhappy relationship. And you know, Emil, I've done a couple of films with him now, and he usually plays a brooding, sort of tough guy. And in this role, he's actually, I mean, I didn't know he had this comedic timing, and he's really great too.
So what is the tone of the film? What dominates, I guess? You rattled off a bunch of things, but like if somebody had to get an idea of what they were really in for, what are they in for?
I think they're in for a ride. I mean, this is a film that, admittedly, I mean, when I first read the screenplay, I started laughing and chuckling and saying, what am I reading and why am I laughing? And I think that's what the film sort of what dominates of like, why is this so funny? And there's laugh out loud funny parts, and it's, yeah, I mean, I call it, you know, wonderfully stupid and just so incredibly funny.
And Jim Hosking works with a co-writer as well, right?
That's right, Jim Wilkie.
I have such respect for people who write and direct, because you know going in that it's their voice.
Right.
It's undiluted. It's obviously they have a passion to tell a story, whether it's silly or serious, but they have a passion to do that, and it's not an assignment that was handed to them.
And that's, Leonard, one of the reasons why I really love this particular space in independent film, because you're working, all the projects I've done are director-driven projects. Most of them are writer-directors. And these are stories and characters that have been living with the director for years and years and years. And I'm just fortunate to come in at the very end after 7 years of developing these characters and help the team pull it all together. But these are, you know, at this budget level, let's say $1 to $5 million. These films are written by directors, and it's really, it's a really fun process working with everybody.
So what's it like if you can give us some idea of bringing a film to Sundance, hoping to get a distributor. What is that process like?
It's very nerve-wracking, and it's fun and exciting. I've had films here that have been just trashed by Hollywood Reporter varieties in the world, and getting a good review right after your premiere is very important to sell the film. The films have all sold, but it might take 30, 40 days. And so the idea and the dream of all filmmakers is to come to Sundance with a film, and a bidding war develops. And everybody's, one of the neat things about Sundance is everybody's here for the films, but people also follow the business side of it and the deals that are being made and who's buying what. And that's kind of fun to follow too.
Have you ever had one of those all-night sessions or late night sessions?
I have not. I have not. But maybe an evening in Beverly Luff LIN is one of those.
Well, we wish you that success.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's been a lot said over the last few years about disruptors in the industry here. You know, you've got Netflix and Amazon coming in. Last couple of years, Amazon was a hugely dominant buyer. Really changed the game. We've seen power shift away from some of the old labels that were previously the ones who really propped up the buying market at Sundance. Do you see that continuing? Do you think that's the wave of the future?
Yeah, I think maybe streaming services, and what Netflix and Amazon has done is they were so far ahead of your traditional large distributors, and it's like turning a battleship, or the dinosaurs just can't offer the streaming services. And I don't see kids going to movie theaters to see small independent films like we used to, that we grew up with. They're watching on their phones or their tablets or some other form. But we just heard this week Amazon's getting out of the independent film market.
Yeah.
And isn't that independent film? Is that you would hope that these money floods in and a rising tide lifts all the boats. But traditionally, if you look at film finance over the last 30 years, that things are always changing.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned A24, which has picked up Backstabbing for Beginners.
That's correct.
They are such a sharp company. They have good taste. They to me have become a brand in themselves. And if you see that logo or hear that they have acquired the movie, you almost say, well, it's got to be good.
It's kind of like Motown.
Yeah.
It's like, if it's a Motown record, I want to hear it. If it's an A24 movie, I want to see it.
I agree wholeheartedly, and all I hope as an independent producer is that they stay in business and they inspire other companies like them that are smart, intelligent, that stay in business. Because the problem with the mid-sized distributors is that every 4 or 5 years, if they don't have a big breakout hit, they're out of business, and then you lose another option for selling your film.
Yeah, Broad Green or
you name it. Really smart people that are well capitalized that
just
go by the wayside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, as a producer, is there a difference in what Netflix or Amazon means to you as a producer versus a viewer, an audience member?
No, not really.
Yeah.
No.
I find people say, Netflix has bought a lot of small films. They bought a lot of films out of festivals. And I see people expressing concern that those films aren't getting the attention that they should.
Right.
And I don't know, as an audience member, I feel like I know a lot of that stuff exists, but I also feel like I miss a lot. Maybe just because
you get lost on their platform. Right. But if you, traditionally, if you have a film, a small budget film at Sundance, and you sell it to a distributor, and it goes on straight to VOD, you don't know if the people, are buying it on Cox Cable or whatever the cable provider is. You just don't know.
Yeah.
And how it's presented there and how those movies are programmed.
Yeah.
It's not vertically integrated like normal businesses.
Yeah.
How much do you think marquee names mean in this marketplace? Now, you had The Greasy Strangler, which didn't have...
Right. No, I was not part of the Greasy Strangler. I just became a fan of Jim Hoskins after seeing that movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Take two. So your current film has 4 people in it that anyone who likes contemporary comedies already knows and enjoys seeing.
Right.
And so how much does that mean to the saleability and the credibility of the project?
I think it means a lot. The saleability, not just domestically, but in foreign markets, these names do carry weight, so you can see the film in the UK or see the film in Germany or wherever you're living. So that's a big deal to be, in many of the international markets. And it certainly makes it a lot easier to sell the film. You can have a great director that's still an unknown, except for the inner circle of actors or agents but the cast behind that great director is what makes things very sellable. And hopefully a good story.
Well, of course.
And so many things can go wrong when you take a great screenplay and finally get a product onto this
Yeah.
to the screen. And so many different people touch that product along the way.
Yeah.
It's a real challenge.
How would you define, this is the sort of fundamental question, how would you define the role of an executive producer? I know it's different in
It's different in each film.
cases.
Yeah, and when I started out, I think this is my 24th film, but when I started out, I was more of a passive executive producer and looking for leads from the agents and from the producers. And slowly over time, I've learned a way to manage the process and take a little more control for myself and for my investors from a reporting, and the business needs that. They need sort of, you have the sources of capital and the uses of capital. It's that middle ground of sort of reporting that needs a light needs to be shed on it.
Well, you're doing that, and bully for you.
Bully for me.
Look forward to seeing the movie, and
Thank you, Leonard. I
congratulations.
look forward to hearing your thoughts.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. So, An Evening with Beverly Luff Lin premieres tonight.
Tonight at 6:30, we're
Right here in Park
jumping in a
City.
shuttle and getting it.